Welcome to Delta Green, God's Teeth, brought to you by Black Project Gaming. Get read in at blackprojectgaming.com. I'm Vince, your host and handler for this campaign. Joining me are Cami as FBI Special Agent Sarah Hart, Doug as Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Gerrald Swenson, Jack as Special Agent Adrian Selivanov with the FBI's Computer Analysis Response Team, and Sonia as Dr. Leah Caron with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. God's Teeth is a campaign of unthinkable horrors, written by Caleb Stokes for Delta Green, the role-playing game. For more information on Delta Green, please visit delta-green.com. Music in these episodes is brought to you by Cryo Chamber and Epidemic Sound. This podcast contains depictions of and allusions to violence against both children and animals, as well as unnatural horror, graphic violence, and adult language. As a result, it is intended solely for mature audiences. Listener discretion is strongly advised. So, in our last session, we opened up with the morning of Friday, September 2nd, 2016. Adrian, you took the opportunity to meet with Sarah early in the morning before everybody else reconvened to discuss the way ahead. You finally told Sarah about the price file that you purloined from the Charlotte's Rest Veterans Home, specifically the information about Price's alleged adoption of Nika Chelikov, a cornucopia house survivor who you found currently works at King-Torino Children's Refuge in Charlotte. Before you all began the drive down to King-Torino, you decided to conduct a more in-depth analysis of the imagery on the St. Lawrence Church pamphlet that you retrieved from Franklin Price, and it appeared that he had taken it somehow from El Gable. You confirmed that the cross and gridiron imagery is associated with St. Lawrence, who was martyred and allegedly burned alive on a gridiron. You also found that St. Lawrence is the patron saint of those who cook using open fire, including butchers, and those to whom fire represents harm, like librarians and miners. Adrian, you found a news story on the area surrounding St. Lawrence Church in Miami and the services it provides to the city's homeless population. You confirmed that the church is run by one Father Mauricio Robledo, but you didn't find any kind of derogatory information or anything negative about the father himself. With that, you all proceeded to Charlotte, specifically to King-Torino Children's Refuge, where you met with Nika Chelikov. She recalled coming to Cornucopia House after the raid. Specifically, she remembered that people came and stopped those who were hurting them, specifically the children, and then she was brought to King-Torino. While some of you did recognize her, it did not appear that she recognized you specifically. She called El Gable, another Cornucopia House survivor named Jennifer Willis, and a blonde boy, whose name she couldn't quite remember, the Quiet Children, a name that was also used by Franklin Price, stating that she rejected their silence and therefore was not part of their tribe. She did confirm that Price did not adopt her, but eventually she recalled that the blonde boy's name was something like Conrad or Conradin, and it was then that you remembered the blonde boy with the ferret at Cornucopia House, who showed Dr. Caron the wall with the book containing the story Sredni Vashtar. Nika said that the Quiet Children act purely on instinct. There is no rationale behind their actions, nor is there any illusion of choice. While these children were diagnosed with selective mutism, Nika says they never actually learned to speak. After coming to King-Torino, they violently resisted all attempts to teach them to speak. When Nika met one Dr. Bryce, who worked at King-Torino, and began learning how to communicate again, El Gable stabbed Nika with a pair of scissors. Nika survived, and El was sent away, and eventually all the other children left like that. At that point, a man that Nika tearfully identified as Samuel Ball emerged from the woods surrounding the children's refuge, armed with these large bolt cutters. Not far behind him, a bear loped out of the woods and charged towards Nika, while Samuel began moving around to a side entrance into the building. After most of you attempted to shoot and incapacitate the bear, Sarah actually managed to stare down the bear and somehow compelled it to turn and retreat back into the woods. Samuel made it into the building and attempted to ambush Nika and the children as she tried to lock them in a classroom for safety. You all attempted to disarm and shoot Samuel, with Sarah managing to land a headshot that ultimately incapacitated him. Dr. Caron feigned providing first aid to Samuel, including applying a tourniquet to a wound in his upper thigh, severing his femoral artery, while Adrian held his mouth and nose shut, euthanizing him on the spot. Sarah, you did hit your breaking point as a result of the subsequent sanity loss. And Adrian, you retrieved a copy of the facility surveillance footage before you deleted it from the facility servers. Sarah and Bear were speaking outside when Nika asked specifically if the group planned on stopping such incidents from happening again. When you confirmed this, Nika agreed to provide you with additional information to help. And that is where we will pick up.
Are we still at the facility, or did we leave?
You are all still at the facility. Sarah and Bear are outside with Nika. Leah is with the corpse of Samuel Ball. And Adrian, I believe you were just returning from your scrub of the facility surveillance system.
Got it.
But there is one thing I failed to have you do, and that was a oversight on my part. But go ahead and make a sanity test for me. 19 out of 72. Maybe it was the adrenaline of the gunfight and the confrontation with Samuel Ball. But it wasn't until you were leaning over him, your hand on his face, holding shut his mouth, pinching shut his nose, depriving him of oxygen, hastening his expiration. But you suddenly become aware of that smell, the one that so many others have told you about up until this point. Wafting off of him and almost overwhelming you. It's a smell that assails your senses. You can even feel your eyes water from the sheer force of this smell. And immediately it conjures to mind a slaughterhouse, that coppery, metallic scent of blood, of red, raw meat. And these images begin playing in some deep subconscious part of your mind of jackals ripping apart a fallen gazelle, stripping flesh and muscle and sinew and fat from bone, of a cat in some dark back alley ripping open a rat, consuming everything that's inside, of a bear, of all things, hunting down and ultimately catching its prey and feasting upon the flesh beneath it. All of this comes to you in flashes, in a matter of mere milliseconds. But you smell it. That smell of meat, that smell of game. And beneath it all, this unmistakable scent of rot, of decay, of something wrong. But that smell quickly fades as if it wasn't even there to begin with. As Samuel breathes his last and ultimately expires beneath you, having bled out and suffocated beneath your weight. And Dr. Caron, you would have smelled it as well. But maybe you were too busy rendering what appeared to be first aid, an attempt to save this man's life. Overwhelmed by everything that had just happened, the adrenaline dump from surviving this attempt on your lives, on the lives of the children, on the life of Nika Chelikov. But again, you two notice that smell is gone by the time he stops breathing.
Adrian does his best to sort of hold back the gag that he feels coming. And I think that's when he sort of storms off in search of the whatever kind of security office they have to fetch the video and scrub it. But as he's there, he is like, I'm picturing that maybe there's either like paper towels in there or someone left behind some napkins. But he's just sort of furiously like scraping his tongue with it, almost trying to get it off his palate.
Yeah, there's a roll of paper towels in there next to like a half-used bottle of Windex or some other cleaning product, and you furiously try to scrub that taste out of your mouth. And eventually, you're not sure if it's mental, if this is something that was just in your head, or if this was something you were actually smelling and tasting, but it does fade. But like with some smells, like with most smells, maybe even like with the smells when you went into Thomas Perez's family's home, that smell of rot, that smell of decay, some of it just lingers, whether you wanted to or not.
I think Leah acknowledges to herself what she's smelling and like what she's thinking as all of this is going on, but she is, as you said, distracted, trying to feign, first aid, going against her own instincts to try to actually help.
And at this point, there are staffers from the children's refuge in the hallways, checking on the children, getting them upstairs to their dormitories, segregating them, keeping them away from this corpse that is now in their hallway. One of them makes it known to you that law enforcement and an ambulance is on its way, wanting to know if anyone is hurt, asking where Nika is. And with that, we'll break away to Bear and Sarah, who are outside with Nika. Nika having just said that she may have information that could be of use if it will help you stop this from happening again.
Sarah takes a second, collects herself, and looks at her and asks, is there somewhere private where we can talk?
Yes, I have an office. It's in the basement, but it's really just a desk, but I don't think anybody will be down there right now. I can take you.
Yeah, let me get the others and we'll go. And I'll go find Adrian and Leah.
Yeah, Adrian is just finishing up in one of the side administration offices where it appears the security footage fed into, and Leah is still out in the hallway with the body of Samuel Ball.
I'll walk with Nika.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll just grab the others and let them know that we're going to talk with Nika. She has some information for us down in the basement.
I think when you come in to get Adrian, you probably see him like scraping off his tongue with the paper towels.
You good?
No, that smell.
She kind of like cocks her head a little bit, like knows exactly what you're talking about, but realizing this is the first time that whatever has touched them previously that let them smell it, now it's on Adrian as well. So just kind of has an understanding but unsettled look for a second before she kind of collects herself again and just says, yeah, it's pretty horrific.
It's like someone shoved my face into a meat locker or something.
Yep.
I need some water. Something.
Yeah, sure.
And Nika, if asked, will take you to kind of a side office that appears to be some kind of break room, and will pull out several bottles of water for you all from a communal refrigerator.
Adrian chugs his, and if there's like the sort of Poland Springs cheapo bottled water,
oh yeah,
he sucks it so hard that the bottle itself starts to collapse into itself as he's drinking it.
But eventually, Nika does lead you down into the basement of the children's refuge to this desk in a corner where kind of an aging personal computer desktop sits piled with papers. And she roots around in one of the drawers and holds out a thumb drive. This might help you. This is my it's my thesis. It's a case study of the quiet children, the ones that were here at least. These are all my notes, and she'll root around in some of the papers in one of the bottom drawers and pull out a thick pamphlet of papers and pass it over. This is a hard copy I printed not too long ago. It is yours.
Adrian's going to reach out for the thumb drive.
She hands it to you.
And while the others are talking to her, he's just going to go on his laptop and look at the contents.
Yeah, Sarah will look through the hard copy papers as she handed it over. Just kind of flip through them, doing a deeper dive later, but just kind of seeing if anything jumps out right now.
There is a note card paperclip to the front page of the hard copy of the thesis that has the names of the 4 cornucopia children sent to King-Torino and a key identifying them by subject and letter. For example, subject A is Gable, L.A. Subject B, Willis, Jennifer, L. Subject C, Chilikov, Nika, L. N.A., Hopko, Conrad, D. The title of the thesis is The Effects of Traumatic In-Group Behavioral Fluency on Late-Stage First Language Acquisition. It will take you hours to read through it.
I think Barry's going to look at that title and he just looks at Nika and says, I've never read a thesis before. What do you think is the most important thing that we should know?
If I had to summarize, under certain extreme conditions of neglect and abuse, housing victims together may actually impede the development of language skills. It's why they didn't speak. It's why they refused to speak. They fed off each other. It's why they tried to keep me from learning how to communicate again.
But what do you think is the point of the silence? If you know what I mean, the people who did this to them back at that place, they had to have a reason why. What did they want to make?
I don't think any of this is what those people intended. I think it was I think if anything, it was a byproduct, an accident. They punished attempts to speak, to communicate, because if we communicated, it would put them at risk. But in that silence, they found something else.
Or something else found them.
What did they find?
Each other, perhaps. A new way to view the world and engage with it, and a new way to become more powerful than they were allowed to be. I wish I knew. I feel like any insight I could have had, it died when I learned how to speak again.
Adrian sort of leaning over to Sarah. It's going to take us a long time to go through this. Do we just want to let her off the hook for now and just hunker down? She's been through a lot.
Yeah, and I'm sure you want to go check on the children.
I do. And if you need anything, please just call me. You have my number. Just make sure this doesn't continue to happen. And I know that they are going to continue to hunt me for my betrayal.
Well, that brings up a good point. Do we want to put some kind of detail on her? For your safety, of course.
Yeah, let me chat with Pizzarelli and see what we can get together. I think that's a good idea.
And with that, you all follow Nika back upstairs to the main floor of the children's refuge. And at this point, law enforcement and medical services are on scene. Some Gerrald Police Department uniformed officers are interviewing some of the staffers while the ambulance workers are loading up the body of Samuel Ball. One uniformed officer in particular has taken photos, it appears, and You notice that they are beginning to set out yellow markers where shell casings have fallen to the ground as they begin processing the scene. But as soon as they see you, one of the staffers points you out. Who's going to engage with local law enforcement?
Not me.
Sarah would probably do that, I think.
Yeah, Sarah, you begin speaking with some of the officers, recounting what happened. This, thankfully, is not going to require a persuade roll because the death of Samuel Ball is fairly cut and dry, at least compared to the death of El Gable, where there was maybe a little bit more to cover up. This was a bit more, as I said, cut and dry from a law enforcement use of force standpoint. What do you tell them?
I mean, I think kind of the bare minimum of, we were here to get information on a suspect of a series of murders. We thought someone here might have information. I'll name Mika if they need it, because I don't think that's going to be harmful. And while we were here, one of the people that we were potentially tracking was here to harm her as well. And so we intervened.
And with your persuade and your bureaucracy skill, you were easily able to make the argument. And in fact, this is further bolstered by the fact that there was a warrant issued for Samuel Ball's arrest based on the murder of Carrie Houghton in Maryland. So all of it falls relatively neatly into place. And they take their notes, they ask their questions, they thank you for your time. They will interview the others. One of them actually speaks to you, Dr. Caron, about what first aid you attempted to render on Samuel Ball. What do you tell them?
She lets them know about the attempted tourniquet, how they didn't quite work on completely stopping the bleeding, and that he eventually had bled out. She noted the headshot wound that grazed him, along with his own emaciated state, and that he was clearly unwell, and that did not help with trying any of the life-saving attempts that were attempted. She lets them know when she called the time, etc.
An argument that they buy with no issue, no concern, no follow-up. In fact, one of the officers holds out a fist for you to bump, Sarah, and says, "Nice fucking shot."
Yeah, she fist bumps him. It just gives a short nod.
With that, you're pretty much free to go. They just needed a recounting of events from your standpoint, especially since you were the ones who engaged and ultimately neutralized the assailant. But they're more than comfortable with your version of events. And it appears not terribly interested in asking any particularly deep or probing questions. This was a man who came in looking to harm children. At least it appears as such. So the fact that he was taken off the playing field, so to speak, is not going to keep any of them up at night. But with that, we are approaching probably mid to late afternoon here in North Carolina, and you are free to go.
Yeah, I imagine we'll want to pour over all of this, so maybe just find a hotel to camp in the night and do research, essentially.
You're easily able to find a hotel in Charlotte and bed down for the remainder of the evening. You all get your rooms. Does anybody call Pizzarelli?
Yeah, I would. Probably when we get there.
I'm guessing you wait till you get to your room to give him a call.
Yeah.
Yeah, he picks up after the first ring. What's going on, Hart?
All right. Samuel Ball is dead. He attempted to attack Nika here in Charlotte.
Nika, was that Nika Chelikov?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, she's working at that Refuge, right? The King-Torino or whatever it is.
Yeah, exactly. She apparently she wrote a thesis paper about essentially the trauma that these kids went through. So we're going over that now. And then Yeah, probably Florida next, but yeah, one more of these kids is... She like pauses because she realizes just how flippantly she was about to say like no longer an issue, and she's still kind of reeling from her mental break from earlier, and she just kind of lets the sentence hang there.
Well, good job. Scratching another one off the list. Nicely done. What leads you all have left? I know you're talking about this church in Florida. You planning on hitting up this trailer park where Killian was found?
Yes, yeah, we'll probably hit those both spots.
Well, I'm guessing Adrian was already on this, but we've tried to do some digging into Crystal Killian when this all first fucking broke. Trying to figure out how it was this person had your names. And we didn't find shit, honestly. No social media presence, no photos we could find online. She's not in any federal database. Got a birth certificate and social security number, came out of Alaska in 1982, said she was 34 years old at the time of her death. She had no job history or tax records before 2008. She took one job and one job only at Florida Southwestern College. It's in a town called Cypress Lake down there in Florida. She was a library assistant. State records show no listed assets, no car, no driver's license, never voted. Rented her trailer at Myers Point. Of course, that's where they found her body. Let's see. State records. She had a high school equivalence diploma. It was reissued from a private company called Focus Homeschooling in 2007. There was a note saying that the original diploma was earned in 1998 and reissued due to a loss of records. Only listed relation is her father, Halachi Killian, also known as Halachi Sakari, a member of the Native Aleutian Pribilof Islands Association. He died of cancer in 1997. But that's all we got.
There's some kind of, I don't know if this would be a luck roll, but since I'm from Alaska and I often work with like various groups, can I roll to see if there's anyone potentially within that indigenous group or corporation that I might know that I might be able to reach out to about the Killians?
Well, what's your bureaucracy?
It is 45.
I'd say it's good enough that you know some people you could call, especially since a lot of missing cases, a lot of missing persons cases in Alaska, unfortunately, do involve the indigenous population.
Yeah, I might be able to put some feelers out for some more information. I'll let you know if I find anything.
All right. Well, get some rest. I'm guessing y'all are headed to Florida next.
Yeah, unless anything in this thesis paper tells us anything else.
All right, keep me posted.
Will do. And I'll hang up.
So, with us in this hotel, what are we doing? We reconvening in Sarah's room once again to discuss?
Yeah.
Makes sense. So we have this thesis, and it talks about the effects of the trauma had on the children and how that forced them into more silence and different methods of communication. I think as Leah keeps reading, she kind of just looks at Sarah and she's like, this is like what we were talking about before.
What do you mean?
The communication aspect, like if you take away avenues of communication from someone, like everyone seeks to communicate, if they couldn't speak right, if they could barely, like, and if they're being traumatized all the time, everything needs an outlet. And this is, without a voice, how do you communicate? But if you need to, and that can't stop you, what can listen to someone without a voice? Does that make sense? Because I think that's what's binding all of these kids together.
I guess it's the way I think about it is like if you were in prison, right? If you're in prison and you're in solitary confinement, you can only communicate with yourself. And so you go crazy. But these kids were captive, but it sounds like they weren't kept in some kind of confinement. They were by themselves anyway. They were kept together. And so even though they aren't allowed to speak, they're still going to come up with some kind of way to communicate with each other.
I can't help but think that thing, Baba Yaga, that she did this to him on purpose.
When you mention Baba Yaga, Adrian sort of tenses up and kind of like retreats back into his laptop.
I don't think so, actually.
Why not?
Because the driving force behind these kids are driving against whatever was touched by her. Or by her work, or by her organization. Because Price was... Oh, how do I say this without sounding insane? Price was part of it. Price was touched by it just like Carrie Houghton was. And it probably wasn't by his consent, but just like Carrie was, he probably has the same brain damage that Carrie had, that kept her compliant and working with, I forget the fuck her name is, I don't care anymore, but whatever Baba Yaga was.
You keep saying Baba Yaga, and I just thought of something. That saint, the one that Grill was attached to or associated with.
St. Lawrence, yes.
In the old stories, in some of them anyway, when she's portrayed as old crone who eats kids, one of the ways that she likes to prepare them is by grilling them, frying them. I don't know if there's some sort of correlation there, but it seems to be some kind of recurring motif.
You think there might be more to this St. Lawrence place? It's not just a random chance that she was there?
Think about it. Does anything seem random about anything that's happened? I mean, at first, it felt random to me, but... And he'll look at Sarah when he sort of conjures up the bravery to admit this, but today was the first time I smelled it. The smell that you and Adrian looks at Bear, finally, probably for like the first time in a while.
I think Bear's searching Adrian's gaze, and when their gazes lock, he gives him a nod and he says, "Looks like you're one of us now."
The point is that nothing feels random anymore. At first I thought the animal attacks, the strangeness, all of it, but it's all choreographed.
It was always ordained. Remember those questions we asked and the answers we got?
Yeah.
There's more than one puppet master holding the strings.
I'm thinking about that flyer we found. She's wrote on it. She scratched things out. It's like she was indicating that it's not safe. I think we better be ready for trouble when we go there.
Probably. You okay, Adrian?
I mean, as okay as I'll be. Growing up, I saw a lot of fucked up shit on the internet, but it's one thing to see it on a screen, it's another to see it in real life, to touch it and smell it.
It's not the same, son. What you see on the internet is not real life.
It's real, but at least there's a screen in between you and it. Is there anything else you want? Otherwise, I think I'm just going to go to bed.
Yeah, I was just going to go over the thesis and sleep myself.
Well, I'm going to get out of here then. And Adrian will sort of excuse himself and head for the door.
You want help with that thesis? I kind of figured you and the doc would look at it.
Do you want to read the thesis? Or would you like us to summarize it when we're done?
Bear seems very uncomfortable with this thought basis. I can take a look at a copy.
Just go sleep, Bear.
All right. He seems relieved.
Leah just nods. Some of us may as well get some sleep.
Yeah, he can drive.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
But yeah, I'll like split up some of the papers, like find a break between like sections where it makes sense and give half of it to Leah and I'll take the other half.
Yeah, we'll pour over it.
Adrian, are you reviewing the thesis on your laptop or are you going right to bed?
I'm going to review the video.
And you do so.
And I think that he's scouring to see if there's like obviously any signs of weirdness happening before they all got there and stuff like that. But I think when he finally gets to, unless something catches his eye, when he finally gets to the footage of him and Dr. Caron tending to the body of the young man, he's just sort of going to replay it over and over.
Yeah, nothing stands out to you. Nothing is particularly unusual. Other than maybe it seemed like Samuel knew exactly what entrance to use to get inside the building and begin making his way down the hallway towards Nika and the children when you intervened. But apart from that, nothing outwardly unusual, nothing that catches your attention until, of course, he is shot. He falls. Leah begins appearing to administer first aid to him, affixing the tourniquet to his upper leg, cranking down on it as much as she can. And you, shielding his face from view, unable to see exactly what it is, but you know what his body looked like when it started to jerk as it was deprived of oxygen. And you see those same jerky movements, those same unconscious attempts at resisting the inevitable. But you watch it. Bear, are you doing anything during this time?
I think Bear is just going to go back to his room and decompress. Is there any alcohol in this room, or is it's probably a cheaper place?
Yeah, nothing in the room, but there is a hotel bar.
Yeah, Bear would probably head over to the hotel bar then and get a double bourbon and Coke and just sit and decompress a little bit. I think he doesn't even realize it, but the stress of the day and everything, eventually he looks at his hand where it's sitting on the bar, and he just noticed that it's shaking slightly, and he's feeling the pressure like he hasn't before. Even though, he's been in physical altercations, he's been through things like this. This is different.
While Adrian watches the footage and Bear attempts to decompress, Sarah and Leah, you review the thesis. Both of you go ahead and make sand rolls. Leah, with a 32 out of 64, you succeed and lose nothing. Sarah, with a 61 out of 41, you lose 1. In addition, you both can add 3% to psychotherapy, 3% to occult, and 1% to your unnatural.
Oh no.
So, going over the thesis. A litter of handwritten and printed pages comprise a manuscript version of Nika Leninovna Chilikov's master thesis in child psychology. Only the abstract, the first few pages, and a bibliography are complete. Chilikov's subjects are the children shipped from Maryland to the King-Torino Children's Refuge. Each is given a simple moniker, such as Subject A, Subject B, etc., to protect their anonymity. The methods section, which describes each child, makes it clear that Chilikov included herself in the study. The consulting PhD on the thesis is Dr. Sarah Bryce, who worked at King-Torino and signed off on the use of her case files. Dr. Bryce died of a brain tumor in 2012. The thrust of Chilikov's argument is that under certain extreme conditions of educational neglect and physical abuse, housing victims together may actually impede their development of language skills. She explains that strict in-group norms forged in the abusive environment can severely alter behavior and communication. The paper recounts through a veil of objectivity Chilikov's own struggles after accepting the tutelage of Dr. Bryce, the violence she endured at the hands of her former friends, and her slow progress in education despite enormous pressure to shut down. Chilkov's notes include a few sketches of drawings left by the children, which I will share with you. The first of these drawings depicts a small childlike figure with red hands, standing triumphant over larger adult victims all lying in blood. There are precisely 4 of them. The head of each victim has a red splotch that might represent the brain. Other children and small animals watch in a crowd. There's a pole with a pair of horns atop it. The half circle of the sun, radiating lines of light, halos the symbol, half crested over a horizon line. One depicts the moon over a nondescript line of horizon. Stars dot the background in a uniform pattern across all instances of the image. A dead tree in a distinctive shape, empty limbs curling, is silhouetted in the foreground against the moon. There is a campfire, seen through a thicket of skinny trees, and a black head containing a red brain. Nika is unable to decipher the meaning behind these images. The red brain design appeared the most often. The subjects drew or painted it only when they were separated for lengths of time, leaving symbols for each other in a playroom. It first appeared in 2004 outside the office of Dr. Bryce, whom the subjects loathed and feared for trying to help them communicate. In 2006, one of them drew it on a sketch of a particularly brutal caretaker. In 2007, one of them drew it on every copy of a cheery, cartoonish pamphlet that encouraged children to trust police. What is your psychotherapy, Leah?
13.
Go ahead and make a roll at plus 20%.
No.
Yeah, with a 40 out of 13, unfortunately. No deep insights. But something you do realize, both you and Sarah, as you review this, is that the thesis is partially plagiarized. It appeared Nika preferred working on paper with pen, printing out everything she needed in a collage of paper rather than leaving it on the screen. Included in the nest of documents is an extensive email exchange with ScribeLife420, the internet handle of a freelancer she found through papermill.us, an online essay farm that composes bespoke essays proofed against plagiarism for students at a price. While her ideas and analysis are her own, her struggles with late language acquisition hampered her academic progress. The email includes patches of text, inexpertly composed with limited vocabulary, misspellings, and numerous agreement errors that she sent to ScribeLife420. Chilikov's jumbled text would never pass muster at the graduate level, you know this, Leah. But ScribeLife420 sent back concise paragraphs using field-appropriate vocabulary, paraphrasing Nika's own ideas. ScribeLife420 also appears to have translated a number of passages for Nika that she sent to him via screenshot. Chilikov and ScribeLife420 appear to have been introduced through an acquaintance called only Conradin. ScribeLife420 was the first to send an email, claiming that Conradin informed papermill.us that Chilikov might need his services after the death of Dr. Bryce. There is no other mention of the name in the files, and Nika and her plagiarist have been corresponding all semester and making progress. But that is what you find.
I think if Adrian hasn't already seen this, Leah's going to text him and ask him to look into the usernames.
Yeah, Adrian, who has still just been sort of like looking at the now still image of him killing a man, will get the text and it sort of snaps him out of the daze, and like he will scramble to the phone and say, he'll just like reply with like a thumbs up emoji, and then I'm going to look up any of the names that she sends me.
Conradin, huh? Oh, isn't that familiar?
Adrian, you were looking into ScribeLife420, correct?
Yeah.
What specifically are you looking for, you think?
So you said that they were connected via this user named Conradin. What was the platform they were connected via?
Doesn't say. Just that ScribeLife420 reached out to her via email and said that Conradin had referred him after Dr. Bryce died.
I'm going to try and see if, because I assume that these are just like email screenshots or something, that Nika's email address would be attached to that. So I'm going to try and hack into her email. And then I would like to sort of like see if I can like go back through and maybe like even search and see if Scribe Life 420 comes up in any other places. But yeah, those would be my sort of two initial approaches.
Okay, go ahead and roll computer science or SIGINT, whichever is higher.
Yes, my computer science is 84.
Excellent. With a 24 out of 84, you're easily able to get into Nika Chelikov's emails. Her password is very easy to crack. You're able to get in, no problem. This is child's play to you. Going through her emails and looking for that Scribe 420 email traffic, you find it pretty easily. But you find that the emails themselves are signed Scribe Life 420, but it looks like he is using a Proton Mail account, which is like an end-to-end encrypted independent email service that's headquartered in Switzerland. And it's apparently just something he set up to communicate specifically with Nika. Looking through for any records on Scribe Life 420, with the access to the databases you have, you are able to find a hit in legal case law. There is a single case called Perkins Pataluno versus Loyola University Chicago, which was a civil matter owing to the stripping of 2 Loyola alumni of degrees after the revelation of a cheating scandal. The jealous roommate of a girl named Perkins, one of the litigants in this case, revealed to the school plagiarism task force hacked emails that proved Perkins negotiated to have her organic chemistry lab paper written by a professional service called Scribe Life Online Tutoring Services. When confronted, Perkins admitted getting the contact information of the service from Pataluno, who was a sorority sister who graduated the previous year. The court records themselves are accessible, owing to being linked to discovery in a RICO case, which is a racketeering, influence, and corrupt organizations case, titled State of Illinois versus Pataluno, which is classified. The identity of Scribe Life 420 was not discovered in the case, but it's clear that whoever this is, they are a remarkable writer pursuing a meaningless career. The paper entered in evidence is a convincing high-quality lab report that passes most plagiarism algorithms to the tune of 70% originality. The multiple works written for Pataluno's academic fraud were in the field of art appreciation, and all of them earned high marks. Some of the papers earned Scribe Life 420 up to $5,000 a pop.
Adrian remarks to himself that he got into the wrong career. But I would like to see if there's a way to get in touch with him directly.
You could try to email him using the email address he corresponds with Nika.
And I will do that. I will also use my own encrypted service. Not like I developed it myself, but I will also use an encrypted service. And my email will be Ghost with Teeth, but the E's will be 33. I'll draft up an email, basically just saying, got your contact from a friend looking for work, ? LMK.
Okay. Email is sent. With that, Leah and Sarah, after poring over this thesis for a few hours, all this is happening while you're reading. What do you do afterwards?
Is there alcohol in here?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably something in the mini fridge.
I'm getting something. Do you want something?
I'm good for now, but help yourself.
Whatever hard liquor's in there, she takes roughly 1 or 2, and then she downs the first one and then mulls with the second one.
Well, unfortunately, this is not a upscale establishment, so the fridge is empty. But there is a hotel bar.
Alright. Then she's gonna grab her wallet, and she's gonna be like, I will be back, and get 2 drinks.
And of course, you see Bear there at a table with his own drink.
When you walk in, I think Bear acknowledges your presence and waves you over to the table.
Yeah, Leah walks over. She kind of has like a far off gaze, but she's looks towards Bear.
Hey, you guys still reading that stuff?
We finished.
Yeah, I don't know. I just been sitting here thinking about. He looks around to see if anybody's listening, which of course, why would they? That fucking bear. I can't believe my fucking gun jammed. That's right. I mean, I'm supposed to be the gun guy, and then I pulled out my baton and I smacked it. It was like hitting a brick wall.
Well, it was a bear.
It's just so frustrating. This is supposed to be the one thing I'm good at, man.
Shooting things and beating things up?
Well, it's something.
There's more to you than that.
It's just, I don't know, man. Sometimes I feel so fucking useless. And I'm sorry about the bear, man. That should have been me. What did Sarah do?
Something I don't think we can explain, but let me grab 2 drinks and we can go back to the room and we'll tell you about the paper.
Okay.
It's not your fault, Bear. It's nothing you could have controlled.
Yeah, my dad was he was pretty. He was a man. He emphasized taking responsibility for your actions, you know. And I don't know.
Well, you can only take responsibility for your actions, not how the environment around you reacts to it.
Yeah, but when you're the gun guy and you fail at one fucking thing.
You're not the only one who can shoot a gun. There's a reason why a lot of us can. And you're not just the gun guy.
Yeah.
Leah will go grab those drinks and head back with Bear in tow.
All right, yeah, Bear will follow her there. You can tell he's had a few.
Yeah, she kind of guessed. It's been hours and he was still at the bar.
What's Sarah doing in the interim?
I don't think she's gonna sleep tonight for a few reasons. So I think she's just trying to find stuff to do so that she still feels productive in some way. So she could be like just rereading the entire thesis herself just to make sure nothing was missed, even though she knows that there's nothing else to glean from it. You know, not anything that's going to be super useful, but something to keep her mind busy so that she doesn't have to lay in bed and have one of those nights where, like, if I fall asleep right now, I'll be asleep for 9 hours and then 6 hours and, you know, that kind of stuff. So just trying to keep busy.
Yeah, eventually, Leah returns with Bear, both of them nursing drinks from the hotel bar as they come through the door.
Yeah, she lets them in.
All right. And Leah actually takes a look at Bear again. Are you sure you're okay to hear all of this? Or do you need to wait till morning?
I have a few, but it probably helps, right?
It won't hurt, honestly.
This is some weird shit.
Gerrald will just kind of start laying out those pictures for him to look at. Reoccurring iconography that we've seen before, but...
What's up with the red scribbles on the cops?
Something about brain, heads, scalping, who knows? I mean, see that same stuff on the bodies of the people in the other drawing.
Does that mean they want to kill cops?
No, wait.
They look happy about killing all the people with red brains, right?
I mean, could be. Maybe they think the police failed them. Maybe they think we failed them years ago.
Someone make an N times 5 roll for me.
Yeah, I was like, there's something on the tip of my tongue and I can't spit it out. Yes.
63 out of 85. There are 4 bodies in that picture, and there are 4 of you.
Yep.
That was actually going to be my next question.
Yeah. They want to kill us?
I mean, we theorized at the start of this when El Gable looked directly into the camera, holding the teeth. This was something that she wanted, I don't think just law enforcement in general to see. I think she knew somehow that we would see it, and I think it was a challenge to us directly.
And we have that shared experience, those shared experiences. Not just at the house, but the smells, your instinct to tear her throat out, something that's been following us and chose us.
I mean, fuck, I never want to see it again, but that, what we've been calling Baba Yaga, it didn't die. And it could be communing through them, remembering what we did. I mean, I don't know for sure that these kids are channeling Baba Yaga.
But they're channeling something.
Yeah. And whether it's connected to, or it is, or it isn't, or it's against, I don't know the connection there.
Can we do a quick search on some of the pole with the horns and the sun? And the tree, the stars and the moon, see if we can find anything that correlates with those? And also text Adrian to look at them as well, if he gets a second.
Yeah, I won't even make you all roll. It's too vague to make any sense of, and to find any similar iconography elsewhere. In fact, going through the thesis, even Nika, as close as she was to these kids and what happened, she wasn't even able to make sense of them.
But, I mean, we've seen the pole with the horns before, right? Wasn't that on the flyer?
A lot of these images were also on the pamphlet.
Right.
So were the crocodiles.
Yeah, the crocodiles with the car, the branches with the stars.
So, if our brains are red, does that mean we have red thoughts?
Something like that. Something that if we don't kill them, they will kill us for having it. We've seen that with El Gable.
When you smell that smell, it's not just a smell. Not for me, at least. It's like a feeling. It's like an instinct. It's almost like red thoughts.
Like you're taken over by something?
Like, I want to eat.
Hunger.
Yeah. Maybe once we're touched by that, that means somehow we're their victims or their targets.
Well, thinking back to the questions that we had asked, and we know the answers we'll find are with the prey. And I think those prey are those children, and we do need to follow their tracks. We know, Samuel was hunting, and he has been now since killed, obviously. It was Thomas Perez was the last one, right? That's still unaccounted for? One of them?
Yeah, he's the last one on our list, isn't he?
Yeah, of the original 3.
And then Killian.
He was our John Doe, the one we couldn't figure out who he was, right?
That was Samuel Ball.
Yeah, that was Samuel. Which, from these answers saying that Samuel is a tooth and that he's hunting, they read more as these are predators. They aren't prey. They're the ones doing the hunting.
The predators can become the prey.
Sure, I mean, what's that? There's always a bigger fish kind of thing.
But also they can hunt each other. We were not the target here, I think. It was Nika, obviously. Or Nika. Because of the connection to Franklin Price. And because she was a child of that horror show as well. Everything kind of leads back to that house.
Something just popped into my mind. You said that Price and that other lady, they had like dementia or Alzheimer's or something?
Yeah, they had brain damage. Like severe, like it would have been caused by physical trauma kind of brain damage. Or at least Carrie Houghton did in the autopsy. I can only assume that Franklin Price has the same thing happen to his brain.
Is there any way you can check to see if we've had that too?
That would require an MRI of the brain.
That must cost a lot of money, right?
Yeah, and also it would put us all on record saying, why do we need an MRI? Why would we need to be checked out for this? And if there were any abnormalities, we'd be under a microscope.
Like, could you ask questions or do any kind of like to see if any of us have been affected?
I mean, I could try. It's not my wheelhouse, but I could try. Like we all have a rotation in psychotherapy, but it's not, and nothing in depth. Nothing like I think that would be needed for, or like be usable to suss this out.
All right. Well, it's just a thought.
If you want, Leah, make a psychotherapy roll.
Okay. No.
72 out of 13. Unfortunately, nothing that comes to mind. But while we're at it, real quick, why don't you and Sarah make unnatural rolls for me with your 1%?
Oh my god, that was so close.
No, absolutely not.
Well, with a plus 20, Sarah, you unfortunately still fail with a 65 over 1. But Leah, with a 9 over 1, with that 20%, that's a success. This talk about Baba Yaga, about Babushka, about whether or not she is still exerting some influence over these kids. This intrusive thought comes to you from nowhere. Babushka's torments at Cornucopia House, they did mean to light a beacon for the gods. But the wrong god answered, blessing the sacrifices over the sorceress. Whatever is influencing these kids is not Babushka. It's whatever found those children at Cornucopia House. Amidst those horrors, that torture, whatever prayers these children offered up, whatever prayers they were able to mimic or remember or even conceive of, something else answered and chose them over Babushka. Make a sand roll for me, please.
Oh my god.
With a 59 out of 64, you lose 1 from the unnatural.
Alright. Getting places.
Bear just looks at her and he says, something just happened to your face. It's like you just realized something.
Leah downs her other drink. It can't be Babushka. It can't be Baba Yaga. Because whatever she was doing to those children were saved, but Baba Yaga was not. They're supplicants, prayers. What they were a beacon. What they were, however Clove found them, the children had called, but whatever Baba Yaga was looking for, it didn't answer to her. It answered the children instead. Something else is pulling the strings, but it's not her anymore. If I had to guess, it hates her.
Because they hate her.
It hates what she is? Or maybe what she was trying to become. Remembering back to the time when Leah went after the Skopsky and did more research into it, what else was she able to learn about?
Lots.
So much, right? So much about it. Was like an immortality cult, right?
Whatever answered it probably wasn't what Baba Yaga was trying to summon. It was something else.
Yeah.
Baba Yaga was trying to summon something, but whatever answered was
in opposition to her.
Yeah, when you reach out to the abyss, be careful, because you never know what might look back.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that it was what she was looking for or what she was trying to call, but I am saying, like, she built that fire, but she brought the wrong predator to the game.
Yeah.
One that hunted her. And we are its instruments.
Yeah, like, so the story of Tredni Vashtar. Tredni Vashtar, this god of...
Conradin.
Yeah, the Conradin's god responded to his need.
Right. So that's a better name for what it is that has responded to these kids in their time of need.
It's not Baba Yaga.
No, she was the inflictor.
It's Tredni Vashtar.
And that's what that child was trying to tell us.
Yeah.
And what you remember, Sarah, is that the Skopsi cult was devoted to this, some kind of entity. And the cultists castrated themselves not to atone for sins, but in a bid to gain immortality. And they rely on orphans specifically to propagate throughout the generations.
I may have gone down the rabbit hole and looked more into the Skopsi after we had parted ways. And I did kind of stick the program on them, I'm not going to lie. I had found them in Maryland as well, but in another community, Moscow on the Chesapeake. And they were basically an immortality cult that had castrated themselves so they could try to become immortal, basically. And hopefully they're done with and over with, and the program actually burned their, to the ground. But I think whatever that Babushka was trying to do, the opposite had happened. She was trying to call upon something to give her and her people immortality, but instead they brought something upon themselves that loathed that wanted whatever she was trying to do to be completely obliterated. It wasn't, the children called out for salvation, but it wasn't just because they called that it answered. Does that make sense?
Yeah, something saw an opportunity.
Yeah. So, well, with that unhappy thought. Okay, wait, but if it... So it knew we were going to be there. Or it manipulated things so that we would be there. Not just Clove.
Well, I don't know that Clove would have been an agent of this thing. She wanted us to kill the kids when we were done, and this thing seemed to champion them.
What is Adrian doing during this time?
Yeah, I think that, like, because he assumed everyone went to sleep, or is at least like reading the thesis. So I think that he is probably also looking over the thesis, the digital copy of it anyway.
Okay.
I know you said that the symbols were too obscure, but I think he would try at least to look up any kind of like cultural relevance of a pole with two horns, specifically like maybe related to Russian folklore, Russian culture, religious history, and all that. If there's no hits, that's fine. But I think that he would be sort of cross-referencing any kind of images or imagery that he finds, and yeah, just doing searching what he can.
So there is some associated or similar imagery in other more primitive nature-based religions throughout the world, but nothing specific to the pole with two horns as being like a central image, a central tenet of any of these religions. It's almost too much to parse through and too much to make sense of, so no positive confirming hits. But you can't help but walk away with a sensation that there is some sort of religious significance to this, maybe, or worship-based significance. Just what it is beyond you at this point.
Okay. Then yeah, if he doesn't really find anything that he can pinpoint, I think he's just gonna, he'll read the text and then he'll just sort of kind of drift off, probably pass out with the laptop open on his bed and try and get some sleep.
Well, with that, since you're looking through the thesis as well, go ahead and add +3 to your psychotherapy, +3 to your occult, and 1% to your unnatural.
That gives me a 2 in unnatural.
So with that, Adrian is still in his room doing this research. Sarah, Leah, and Bear are still together in Sarah's room having this discussion. But with this revelation from Leah, I need Sarah and I need Bear to make sanity rolls, please. Bear, with a 91 out of 41, I'll need you to roll 1d4.
2.
You lose 2. You may project if you want, entirely up to you.
I'm not in any immediate danger. I'm 8 away from my breaking point right now. I will take 2 on the chin. So that puts me at a 39 with a breaking point of 33. So I'm there.
Sarah, you lose 1 with a 17 out of 40. But with that out of the way, if you would like to continue your conversation, you may, to discuss this sudden revelation.
I think Bear just looks a little bit shocked right now with the thought that there are things out there waiting in the dark corners of the universe to answer a cry for help.
Honestly, I don't think Leah has much more to share on her end, just because she's like, I have to say this out loud, and now I kind of regret it with the look on Bear's face.
What is going through Leah's mind processing this?
I think she's also like half in shock, but half. It feels like it's been culminating for a while. Like she's been trying to connect the dots in like kind of a dogged fashion. Like considering that she hadn't let go of the previous case before, had followed it all the way down to the point where she had to stick Delta Green on them again, and then now all this has happened. The fact that it was manipulated, almost fated, but then it begs the question: how much is our choice versus how much was everything that was going to happen slated to happen? And does that mean that this entity is at fault for Bobby and Father Alvarado's death? Or can we still lay that blame right on Yelena?
I think we've already established that some of us, including Bear, have gone back and found that Sredni Vashtar story, right? And read it. I mean, I think the more Bear thinks about it, he just says, it's just like in the story, isn't it? Conradin cried out for help. And Sredni Vashtar, or whatever it was the only thing that would answer.
Yeah, and that was the kid that gave us the book, that story. They tried to tell us this years ago.
Do you think he was trying to warn us?
Maybe a warning or just kind of explaining? I don't know.
Or maybe the thing was acting through him as well, telling us it was there.
Yeah, that it wasn't just what we thought it was.
I mean, from her thesis, it sounds like these kids, they're not thinking about anything. They're reacting almost like something else is going on in their heads and they're just reacting to it. There's another call out there that they answer to.
We kind of did see that, didn't we, though, with El Gable? Something driving these kids.
It's driving them. They may not even be aware of it.
No, I think they know. Why do you think they tried to kill Mika? Because she refused the call.
Yeah, I'm not sure that they tried to kill Mika or if it did.
You think that at this point they don't have any control? Potentially they don't have any control over their actions anymore?
Did we ever?
I mean, I think these kids were taken advantage of by every possible thing that could have taken advantage of them in their lifetime. So if something out there said it would protect them if they did what it wanted, I wouldn't put it past them to. I mean, I don't know if I were in their shoes if I'd make a different call.
But why do all of this now? Because they didn't even have to do anything. They didn't. We came instead.
I mean, yeah, something put it into motion. Something triggered it. We'll probably find more answers to that in Florida.
Yeah, because our names were written there.
Right.
When I was a rookie, I answered a call of a dipshit who beat the hell out of his wife. And I had to go to court and testify to what had happened. And his lawyer tried to say that it was because he'd been beaten as a child and there was something wrong with him. And it wasn't his fault. And I never believed that. I thought the guy was a jerk and an asshole, and he deserved everything he got. And with these kids, I'm not so sure.
I do think they're not, well, I can't say they're not killing indiscriminately because one of them had killed his entire foster family for no reason. But it seems like there are things that they hate that require killing. And no matter what, they need to be ended.
They're killing because this thing, Sredni Vashtar, for lack of a better name, demands that they be killed. Are we killing them because Pizzarelli demands that they be killed?
Well, I mean, they're also killing people.
Yeah.
But then that makes me wonder. I don't know if it had the power over those animals, or if, going back to Elle, when she was controlling those dogs, they stopped fighting when she died.
Yeah. When I sat with the dog as it passed, it, I guess, for lack of better words, returned to normal right at the end. But the animals were involved back at that cornucopia house. This isn't a new thing. This was something that the cult was doing. There was some kind of structure to it. They had them in like all the kennels and everything. There was something where these kids were already connected to animals.
I think I see what you're saying, though, Leah, that they stopped. You're thinking maybe it's because they died that they were no longer being controlled, as if it were the kids that were controlling them. Except, what about Mr. Throb? None of the kids seem to be directly in control of him. But still, he had a job to do.
Yeah, so I think there are multiple facets to this. I think the kids can control animals because, sorry, backing up, but we didn't exactly figure out that Sarah had ordered the bear to flee, basically, right?
Yeah, I was going to ask if I can think back on that moment and if I can get any insight from, like, was it Samuel's influence or was there something else there that was with the bear that I, like, connected with momentarily?
So with that in mind and kind of thinking back to the animals at Cornucopia House, Leah, go ahead and make a psychotherapy roll since you have that skill, and Sarah, make a human roll. Okay, so with a 20 out of 16, Leah, especially with that revelation still rattling around in your head, it's hard to make connections right now. But for you, Sarah, with that 21 out of 87 on the human roll, you suspect with the animals, it was a method of control and abuse. Instead of abusing the children themselves, the caretakers could allow them to form bonds and connections with these animals that were set aside for them and harm the animals instead as a method of control to secure cooperation.
So then with the bear, so when the cult isn't involved, does it feel like it's still the kids or is it something else?
It's hard to put a finger on. It's ineffable in a lot of ways. All you know is that when you made that connection, it was more about exerting your will versus countering or sensing any will that was controlling it, if that makes sense.
Like I became the alpha at the moment, and of all the things that were intruding on its nature, I was the alpha.
You were the alpha.
Okay.
You became the alpha predator at that point.
Right. Yeah, I mean, they do feel like everything has been using this predator-prey language. And so these kids are the predators at this point. Whether that's because this Sredni Vashtar has some ultimate cosmic goal that it wants them to kill specific people, or if it's just the nature of survival of the fittest. Yeah, and I don't know. I don't know the answer, and I don't know if we'll ever know of how much control the children have. I mean, they're not kids anymore, but they have over their actions currently versus how much of it is just whatever helped them and is now, if it's controlling them or not. I don't know. It's hard to say.
We're predators too, right? I mean, I felt that. I have no doubt.
Yeah, I think so. In the scheme of all of this, I think we're seen as predators.
We're also teeth. Remember how she taunted us with Carrie Houghton's teeth?
Right.
Yes.
We're teeth hunting teeth.
I wonder if someday they're going to be sending somebody after us.
I'm assuming that's what our names were written down for.
Could have left us alone and just continue the killing spree, which begs the question, why does the thing want the kids dead? Why did it want us dragged back into this?
I don't think it wants the kids dead. I think there's a piece to this puzzle we haven't unearthed yet as far as like the motives, but I don't think it wants the kids dead necessarily. It wanted Nika dead because she didn't fall in line. She's prey now. She's no longer a predator. And that means she deserves to be hunted, I think, in the how they think, or whatever the terminology we want to use is.
Well, you've been saying this, Bear's been kind of quiet, and you can see that he wants to speak up. He says, I think you guys didn't understand me. When I said someday somebody's going to send somebody after us, I didn't mean Sredni Vashtar. I meant Pizzarelli.
I mean, at that point, it would be assuming that we've become a liability or a problem.
Yeah. You can just see that Bear's something about this is making him very uncomfortable.
While this is going on, Adrian, what are you up to in your little corner of the hotel?
So I think as I'm sort of mulling over the sort of latest revelations of things, I think he's starting to sort of fixate on Crystal Killian and her role in this. And what I would like to do, using all of my skills in cracking into things and technology, is I would like to try and access, whether it's surveillance, ring camera footage, cameras, even satellites, whatever. But I want to get sort of a picture of what was going on at the trailer park around the time that she was either found or presumed dead or died.
With your experience and background in signals intelligence and computer science, you know the best possibility for that would be satellite coverage. That's going to be a heavy lift. That means hacking into government systems.
I mean, what else am I doing right now?
Make a SIGINT roll at a plus 40 modifier. Jesus fucking Christ. With a 43 out of 50, you somehow manage to gain access to the National Reconnaissance Office's unclassified, non-sensitive satellite platforms that are in orbit above the Earth. And what you find is that there's not a lot of satellite coverage over the United States at that point, but you do... Oh man, what do I do with this? I was not expecting this. I gotta give you something.
Even if it's not like directly tied to this, if it's maybe just something that I catch in the process of, I'm fine with that. But just like, that's sort of where he's going. And obviously, you know, do with that what you will.
What you do find is that knowing when Crystal Killian's body was found, knowing when you got the call to proceed to Maryland to meet with Pizzarelli, to start your cover up at Cornucopia House, you're able to narrow in on roughly a 1 to 2 week time frame. And one thing does stand out to you in looking over some of this footage and looking over some of this coverage is that there is a large movement of animals, what looks to be domesticated animals, pets, cats, dogs, swarming out of one trailer in particular and disappearing into the weeds in the thick wetlands surrounding this trailer park and being lost from view.
Adrian will take stock of that. I think he was hoping for something more, but he also recognizes what the kind of coverage over specifically that area would have been. It was sort of a Hail Mary on his part. But I think that seeing the movement of the animals, he just sort of kind of shakes his head. He knew deep down inside what the animals, the magic, whatever you want to call it, that all of this is tied to, is somehow tied to this, but he just sort of takes that and will file it away for later.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, is that it's not like 1 or 2 or even 5. It's close to a dozen, if not more. It's hard to count because the cameras on these particular satellites are they're not military grade, though that would require a lot more work to get access to the classified assets. But from what you can see with the resolution that you have access to, it's a lot moving as one out of one trailer in particular down this embankment into the swamps around the trailer park.
You said that they were going into the trailer and then left, or they were leaving the trailer?
They were leaving.
So they had been in there.
If you go back far enough, you could see them go inside.
But like how far back?
Hours.
Okay. That's what I was curious about. I wasn't sure if like they were living there and then left. All right, got it.
Yeah, hours, if that.
Yeah. He's not going to bother the team with the findings right now. It's probably late. We can do that in the morning. But I think that he will look at the clock on his nightstand, past the empty cans of energy drinks, and he's just going to game the rest of the night until he crashes out.
Back to Bear, Leah, and Sarah. How does the conversation progress?
Slightly fucked up question. Since Leah was there when Al Gable and Samuel died, were they afraid when they died? Or like, what were they feeling when they were dying? Could she tell?
Yeah, they were grinning.
Yeah, I knew it. Was it like the same kind of feeling?
It was almost a religious rapture.
They basically had succeeded no matter what they had done.
Potentially.
Okay. Because I was thinking it was, remember the cat in Carrie Hilton's apartment? How we had gotten the feeling it had done its job and had done its job well? Do we get the same feeling?
Yeah, between finding Mr. Throb, the cat in Carrie Houghton's apartment, seeing the look on Al and Samuel's faces, it is definitely similar.
Okay. All right. I think she'll mention that. Remember how Ella and Sam were both smiling at the end.
Yeah, that was pretty freaky.
That's why I think, how do I say this? That they're not just being called or controlled, they are also choosing to do this. And that death was not a punishment for them. Like it wasn't for that cat that had done the job of closing Carrie Houghton's apartment door. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if this is their religion, essentially, people have done crazy things and been very proud of it in the name of religion.
But does that make us if we're a part of it too?
We're just part of the food chain. I think that we're just caught up in it. I mean, unless you want to start getting into the thoughts of how much of this is controlled.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Because me, you, Adrian, Bear, all of us have been scarred by some kind of animal. You by the ravens, me by that deer. Was it a dog for you, Bear?
Yeah.
And then the bat for Adrian. We're neck deep in this, and we were all marked. That's significant.
Yeah, and when I say we're just part of the food chain. We're in it. We're involved. I think that there's a difference between something controlling fate or destiny around us to pull us in versus the kind of religious obedience these kids have to the same cycles and ideas.
Yeah, I think Bear is looking very uncomfortable by the end of this conversation, and he just stands up, kind of clenches his fists, unclenches them, looks around the room and says, I know one thing for sure. I'm not going to be controlled by anything or anybody. Fuck that.
You did rip out someone's throat with your teeth.
And you didn't mean to do it.
Would that be a human check? Does somebody want a human Bear?
Sure!
Oh, yeah, sure.
Oh, that's a failure on Leah's part.
Damn, unreadable.
Leah's thinking that's the anger disorder he's got going on right now.
Yeah, with that 74 out of 45, that's a great way to look at it. It's hard to gauge where he's coming from with that or the truth or intent behind that statement because of that veneer of anger that's starting to seep through. Same for you, Sarah, with that 93 out of 87. It's hard to tell if he truly believes that or not.
Well, I think Sarah's gonna just, before they keep going and losing their mind over more possibilities, she's just gonna get up and say, we have a long drive ahead of us. We should try to get some kind of sleep before then.
Yeah, okay. Maybe tell Adrian to also sleep?
Yeah, I think Bear at this point is probably gonna just go to the door and say good night.
Good night.
See you guys in the morning.
I'll see you then.
And he's gonna go back to his room and try to go to sleep. I have him as having lost 4 willpower points. That was from projecting, right?
It was.
Okay. So I know at this point he needs the sleep.
Yeah. So when you go to sleep, roll D6, 1d6, and regain that much willpower.
Okay. With 4, that's what I needed.
So yeah, Leah's also going to go and just give Sarah a nod and a quiet good night, head into her own room to try to get some sleep.
Yeah, Sarah will attempt as well.
Go ahead and make that sweet sand roll, Sarah. See if we can get to sleep.
No.
With a 52 out of 39, no matter how much you try to shut your brain off for a few seconds, for a few minutes, long enough to surrender to unconsciousness and get some rest, you can't. What Leah said, what you and Bear and she discussed, just rattling around your brain. What happened with Samuel Ball? What happened in that children's refuge? Every time you close your eyes, You see that. You remember that. You remember the sights, the sounds, the smells. So unfortunately, no sleep for you.
And then I don't gain any willpower back either.
You do not.
Cool.
Go ahead and roll 1d6.
2.
You lose that much willpower.
Oh, dang. Okay.
But with that, in the interest of time, do we want to pick up the next morning with our drive south to Florida?
Sure.
Where are we going first?
Well, I guess that's a question because Adrian was driving by himself. Does anyone go with him or does he just sort of stay solo?
Yeah, I mean, we should probably do 2 and 2. Sarah can go with you if no one else will.
Sounds good to me. So then, as we're sort of trying to determine where we're going, do we want to split up or do we want to all go to the same spot?
I feel like we should all go. I mean, just because things have been so unpredictable as far as who we're running into and what is coming to try to kill us.
Mm-hmm.
And things have been almost all very dangerous situations.
I will also say, based on the 2 addresses you have, the one for Crystal Killian's trailer and then the one for St. Lawrence Church in Miami, Miami is about 2 hours from the trailer park location. So if you were to split up, that would put you all kind of well outside the radius of being able to respond if things went bad.
That makes more sense.
And I think we specifically concluded last time that there might be something waiting for us at the church.
So then what is closest to like where we're at now then? Like because Miami's further south or?
Miami is further south. So Felda, Florida, which is the unincorporated town in which the Myers Point Trailer Park is located, is about a 10.5-hour drive south. Miami is a little bit further south than that. So about 2 hours southeast of Felda.
Okay, so the church is in Miami. So then, yeah, we'll just go to the trailer park in Felda and then go to the church.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
That makes sense.
So then on the way, on the very, very long drive there, Adrian, of course, has packed enough energy drinks to put down an elephant. But he will mention to Sarah, last night, I did a bit more digging. It's not much, but I found some satellite footage of the trailer park around the time that Crystal Killian was murdered.
What'd you find?
He kind of smirks a bit. He says, "You're not going to ask me how I found it?"
I mean, I'm assuming not legally. Do I need to know more than that?
No, I guess not. And he takes a sip of his energy drink.
I mean, if you want to brag about it, please do.
No. Our silence will be bragging enough. But at any rate, animals. A couple dozen of them. They had been there hours before she was presumed to have been deceased. And then, of course, they all migrated together and then fled into the wilderness surrounding the parks. And it was the same path.
They all fled on the same path, you mean?
Yes.
Damn.
They entered and fled.
So multiple animals. I'm assuming of different species.
All domestic, but yes.
Okay, great. I mean, it's not it's unnerving, it's not surprising, and I hate it, but it's not surprising.
I couldn't get much else. The footage was, well, very far away, but it just sort of, I don't know, supports everything that's been going on in even worse ways. But why do you think that she was worthy of this kind of attention?
I mean, I don't think it'd be beyond a possibility that she was murdered by one of these surviving kids. And we know that they have connections with animals. It's possible that the local, cats and dogs or whatever they were drawn to the scene in the same way that the bear came to the children's home, that the dogs came with El Gable to the, they weren't like her dogs, they were therapy dogs. It's just whatever's in the area, I think, is drawn to them.
I guess a few dozen cats and dogs have the same ferocity as one giant bear. Speaking of bears, how is the other bear doing?
I mean, the same as when you last saw him, I think. I think there's still a question there of stability, but he seems grounded now.
This is to you as a player. Are you telling the truth, or should I be humanting?
I think she's telling the truth. Like, she thinks that in this moment right now, he's stable, but the question of stability, like, who knows when he'll be set off again, kind of thing.
Got it. Yeah, fair enough.
These satellite images.
Yes.
Could you get some more?
Theoretically, what do you need?
I am curious if you go back to where we have been these past few days, if you see any additional abnormal, like, are we being hunted by animals or tracked by animals, but we just can't see them, kind of thing?
Yeah, maybe next time we pull over, you can take over and I can see what I can find.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yeah, we'll just keep driving until we need to take a potty break.
Yeah, and she's also like downing like a double shot espresso and Red Bulls as well, because she is also sleep deprived at this point.
Leah and Bear, are you discussing anything in your drive?
I think so. Bear, as he's driving, he definitely seems like he's lagging, and you notice him every now and then as we drive through traffic, especially. We're passing through some major metropolitan areas, and it's heavy traffic, and cars cutting him off. You notice him just swearing underneath his breath at the people, getting a little bit aggressive in traffic as well, speeding up to avoid letting people pull in front of him and that sort of thing. But other than that, I think he'll make small talk, but I don't think he's eager to revisit the conversation from last night.
That's fair.
But if you have any questions or comments.
Well, Leia's going to do something because she sees like Bear's in kind of a bit of a foul mood. I think she pulls up the vines that her niece has been incessantly sending her, the ones that at least can be enjoyed via audio, and she starts playing them. Just to get Bear's mind off of the road and everything and the traffic. And then also starts playing all of her song recs, which are quite juvenile. Okay.
So we're just playing like a very light poppy song list?
Basically, so what she says, I think after a while, after he has been swearing under his breath, she opens her phone, and she sees all of these messages from her niece and from like her sister. And she glances at Bear, glances back at her phone, glances back at Bear, and says, "My niece just recommended this. Do you want to listen?"
How old is your niece? 13?
Yeah, about.
I think when you say yeah, about, I think Bear realizes he's kind of being a dick. Can I make a sand roll here to see how this hits Bear? Because I can see it hitting him in one of two ways. Either he'll be like, oh yeah, I'm being an asshole. Or it might be like, kids these days.
Fuck it. Yeah, make a sand roll. There'll be no sand loss, though.
All right. Well, with the 35 out of 39, I think Bear realizes that he's taking this too seriously, that he's letting it get under his skin, and not all 13-year-olds are little shits. And he lightens up, and he starts nodding his head a little bit, maybe doing an overbite every now and then, even though he's not actually dancing.
I think she tries to use that to basically keep Bear from losing his sanity against the ever-growing evils of traffic.
Yes.
At some point, we will say, Adrian, Sarah, you swap out. So Adrian, go ahead and make another SIGINT roll at that 40 modifier. 89 out of 50. You know your stuff. You know that the longer you poke around in there, the more likely it is you're going to draw attention. And considering the wide swath of time you're looking at, you know you would have to pour through an overabundance of footage. There would just be too much for you to go through by yourself. This is something that a team would have to do under legitimate circumstances. But under these less than legitimate circumstances, it would take a lot more than that to pour through everything and identify areas and times of interest. So after a certain point, not finding anything particularly noteworthy, you know you've overstayed your welcome and you back out.
All right. I think he curses in Russian to himself as he's like fucking with his laptop.
So yeah, we'll say that you took off from Charlotte at around 5 a.m. and you eventually start driving south into rural southwestern Florida, into Hendry County and towards the Myers Point Trailer Park. But 680 miles later, 10 and a half hours later, so about 3:30, you arrive. And the Myers Point Trailer Park sits atop a large embankment on the outskirts of unincorporated Felda, Florida. It's elevated above the sprawling wetland of Okaloocuchee Slough State Forest. It's a man-made rise that falls steeply into groves of longleaf pines, palms, and pond cypresses. The trailer park itself consists of a single gravel road with rows of trailers off either side. The raised row of boxy homes jut into the bog like a decaying fortification. The earthwork is old and eroded. The backyards of many lots crumble away into the lowlands. Were it not for the chicken wire and rotting supports hastily girding the tiny isthmus, the entire property would have long ago fallen into the swamp. You have Crystal Killian's address, and you follow it to a 1990 Bonnevilla single-wide trailer on the far end of the park. What's the plan?
Is there still crime scene tape up at the trailer, or are we close enough to even know that?
Oh yeah, I'd say you pull right up. The entrance has been boarded up with plywood and covered in police tape, but it doesn't appear that there's any deputies or police or anybody else standing guard outside the trailer.
Any cameras in the area, like surveillance?
Not the type of place to have any of that.
All right.
And does it appear like anyone's sort of like standing on their porch, looking out at us curiously?
There's a couple of older Floridian citizens milling about outside. In fact, you see one older couple, maybe in their 50s or 60s, sitting around in lawn chairs, smoking, drinking, watching as your two cars drive through the park, but not raising any kind of alarm or challenging you or anything like that.
Should we be on guard?
Yeah, would we, like, if someone were to, like, call the sheriff or whatever and be like, hey, there's people here, would we be able to talk our way into, like, some jurisdiction stuff? Or is it pretty much like, if we get caught, we're fucking busted?
You wouldn't be busted right off the bat. You could certainly try to talk your way out of it.
Okay. Good enough, I guess.
One of those things. Depends on what the dice do.
Yeah, true. Like, it wouldn't be fully unheard of for the FBI to show up to a crime scene and investigate, I guess.
Nope. Not considering this one was directly connected to the scene at Cornucopia House.
Is there a sheet of paper out there that says, for inquiries, call or something?
There is not, no. And you wouldn't be expected to make contact. And if you recall, Crystal Killian's death was attributed to natural causes, specifically a heart attack.
Okay, so even if we got caught, it's not like they're gonna freak out.
No. And in fact, the fact that the address for Cornucopia House originated from the deputy who found Crystal Killian, found the information inside, called up to Maryland. they went by and checked it out. And that's what resulted in the discovery of the mass graves. And that is a federal case. It is entirely possible that you're just following up on loose ends.
Okay, cool. Perfect. Yeah, then I think looking official, Sarah will just kind of confidently go up to the door and clear any tape enough for them to go in.
Make whoever gets out of the car, which I'm assuming is everybody, whoever wants to, make an alertness roll for me. Leah, with an 81 out of 60, you don't notice or hear anything out of the ordinary. But for you, Sarah, with a 5 out of 87, Adrian with a 20 out of 52, and Bear with an 8 out of 80, one thing strikes you is that how quiet it is. There's no dogs barking anywhere. It's unthinkable that no one would have some kind of dog, even a guard dog, in a hellhole like Myers Point Trailer Park. It's even more ridiculous to think that they would stay quiet with a bunch of strangers walking down and driving down the main drive. But it's quiet. Almost eerily so.
I'll look over at Sarah and say, "You hear that?"
Yeah. Pretty quiet.
Bear.
Yep.
There is a stretch of a path from the trailer to a bit of a patch of wilderness on the outskirts. If I show it to you, could you think you could do some investigating, see if you see any clues of any recent animal activity?
Yeah. Bear kind of like reaches towards his holster.
I don't think you'll need that, but hopefully you won't anyway. And then yeah, I'll look to Sarah, just sort of like giving a bit of a nod, and I'll point out the sort of stretch of basically the path.
Bear, go ahead and make a search roll with a 20% bonus, with Adrian helping you kind of find the general trail that these animals would have gone on.
Okay. Yeah, that's a failure. A 90. So Bear's just wandering, which probably works just fine for this situation. Bear's just wandering around looking for this trail.
Yeah, with that 90 out of 62, which would have been a 70, still a failure. You have a general idea of the direction that Adrian pointed in, but you're not noticing any signs of passage. You're not picking up exactly what direction you should be walking in, but you're looking around. You're not getting lost. You have a general idea of where the trailer is, but you're not seeing anything out of the ordinary.
So I think for Adrian's purposes, Bear is wandering around looking for this thing that Adrian told him was there, and that's occupying him, and it's slowly making him more and more pissed.
That's fair. Back at the trailer, what do we do?
I mean, Sarah's going in.
Yeah, I'll follow.
Yeah, Adrian's following. He's got the kit. Yeah, gloves and all that stuff.
As you walk up, you notice that there are two entrances. There is the boarded up front entrance, and then there is also a back door, which is still intact. You do notice that what appears to be a trailer door is discarded amongst the weeds of the unkempt yard. The cheap wood is split where a boot would be placed on an average-sized man. The top of the door holds a faded piece of graffiti. It's the black paint outline of a head in profile with a splotch of red spray in the shape of a brain.
Oh, isn't that familiar?
Well, that's something. I guess divide and conquer.
So you would have to peel the plywood off the front door. I don't know if anybody brought a crowbar, but you could easily try the back door.
Yeah, let's start with the back door.
The back door is locked, but it's just a pane of glass that one could easily quietly smash to get access to the inside.
Sarah will go ahead and do that and then let the others know, watch careful of the glass.
You smash out the pane of glass. I'm assuming wrapping your hand, wrapping your forearm, making sure you don't get cut.
Yeah.
Reaching inside, unlocking the door, swinging it open. This back door opens into like a dual kitchen living room setup. There is no sound coming from the inside. On either end of the trailer are 2 bedrooms. And the one thing you immediately notice is the smell of like industrial strength cleaning materials.
Does it seem like it was like the crime scene people have come, or is it from something else?
What's your criminology or forensics at?
Forensics is 70.
Yeah, absolutely. It seems like this place has already been cleaned up by a crime scene cleanup company.
Okay. Makes sense. Yeah, I mean, Sarah's just going to start looking around.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Obviously, the entirety of the trailer has been cleaned. And there does not appear to be any furniture, any personal belongings. All of that has been removed. However, there are indentations in the carpet in the bedroom facing the exterior of the trailer park, indicating that that was where Crystal kept her bed. Most of the carpet in the other bedroom, in fact, all of it, has been completely removed. But the outlines of a desk and filing cabinet against the cheap wood paneling indicate it was a makeshift office. And considering how all of the carpet has been removed from that room, you can assume that that is likely where Crystal was found dead.
I know it's tough, but just because it's on Adrian's mind, I would like to see if there's any trace elements or anything that might point to the presence of the animals here.
Sure. Make a search roll.
I have an okay search.
With an 11 out of 60. You notice a loose slat in the flooring in this office.
I'll tap Sarah on the shoulder and sort of like press his sneaker down onto it. You hear that?
Oh yeah, I think there's something under there.
Only one way to find out.
Do you pull it up?
He's doing that to try and get Sarah to pull it up for him.
Yeah, I think she kind of like looks at him like by all means, then realizes he's wait. She'll go ahead and do it.
Raising it from the floor immediately reveals a woman's nail, visible and broken off and lodged in the slats. Beneath the slat, there's a hole that was cut in the wooden floor for a makeshift hiding spot. It holds a lump wrapped in a cloth. A Sig Sauer P938 subcompact pistol, fully loaded, with the serial numbers filed off.
She was trying to get to it.
Yeah. Maybe she knew something like this might eventually happen.
But it was too late.
Bear, do you start making your way back to the trailer after a certain point?
So I think the problem is, at first, Bear is like going to be damned if he's going to let this kid tell him that there's something out there and he's not going to find it. So he's probably going to spend longer than is reasonable looking for this. And when he doesn't find it, it's only after he's just checked everywhere that he can that he's going to come to the conclusion that maybe it's not there.
I'll be generous. I'll be nice. I'll give you an opportunity to make another search roll with no bonus this time.
All right.
With a 15 out of 62, you find this muddy embankment that drops down to the swamp below. It's steep enough that it would make no sense for any animal to jump it unless they were being chased, and there's definitely no reason to take that leap in large numbers. It's an easy climb for you, and you track through these thick wetlands. You're getting mud all over your pants, all over your shoes. Branches are slapping you in the face. You're probably getting more and more pissed. But you eventually find this shallow pool of muck that's enclosed on all sides by a ring of water tupelo, their roots interlocked. And inside that pool, you find animals. Dozens of them. The stench of 2 weeks' worth of rot clawing at your nostrils. Carrion insects are swarming the air, but somehow the pets are remarkably well preserved, almost uncannily preserved. In fact, some are still wearing their owner's collars. Each animal appears to have died the same way. Its stomach burst, internally hemorrhaging, or sending intestines trailing behind it. It brings to mind a lot of questions. How did the animals all come to be here after suffering so much internal damage? What caused it? Did they eat themselves to death? How did they stand still while they bled out from the inside, growing weaker until they collectively drowned in the shallow pool? Why won't these flies, these mosquitoes, these insects that are biting you, why won't they land on the dead, even though they swarm in the stench? I need you to go ahead and make a sand roll for me.
Oh, that's a critical success.
With an 11 out of 39, you lose nothing. But you are confronted by this grisly, gruesome scene.
With an 11 out of 39, can I identify the contents of the animals' stomachs that caused them to explode?
Nothing that you can see.
Okay.
And especially at this point, if you had to guess, they've been dead for at least a week or two now. Even though they're strangely well preserved, more preserved than they should be, being out in the Florida heat, sitting in this water. There's nothing that stands out to you. It doesn't look like anything clawed them from the inside out. It just literally looks like they exploded.
I guess my impression from what you said was that they ate until they burst, almost.
That could be it.
Okay. What were they eating? Maybe I don't want to know.
Back at the trailer, Leah, what are you doing while Sarah and Adrian are making this discovery?
I think she had seen it with them, but if there's nothing else in that area, she's going to kind of... There's not much area in this trailer, is there?
There's not, no. There was the bedroom set up as ostensibly an office, based on what you can tell. The main bedroom itself, a kitchen, a door to a bathroom, and then a small closet.
It's completely empty personal belongings because they did the cleanup already. You know, Adrian has found the hidden compartment. I think at that point, she was going to leave the trailer and see if she could see anything else going on the outside.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, you see furniture. And you all would have seen this coming in. I just neglected to mention it. But you see furniture and trash and detritus at the end of the driveway leading into this trailer, waiting for a dump truck to take it away. There does seem to be some personal effects in and among the garbage.
Okay. You said there were neighbors.
Yes.
Are they still out?
Yeah, further on down. Yeah.
Okay, I think she'll try to make it look like she's only doing a cursory glance of what's in the trash area, but she'll try to see what's of interest in that area.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that stands out to you is a framed photograph of a woman, a man, and a younger boy together smiling.
Does Leah recognize any of them?
You do not.
I think she'll grab that, and after surveying the rest of the stuff and finding nothing, going back to the others.
Do you bring the photo with you?
Yeah, I nab that.
Yeah, Sarah, Adrian, you hear the trailer door, the back door, shut, and then shortly thereafter open again as Leah comes back inside.
Did you find anything?
Yeah, there was something. And she holds up the photograph. I found this in the front. Looks like some trash was there from the cleanup.
Does anyone look familiar to Adrian or Sarah?
Not to you, Adrian. But Sarah, you recognize Clove.
Okay.
I need you to roll sanity.
Yeah.
With an 85 out of 39, you lose 1.
Are you okay, Sarah?
That's Clove.
Who's Clove?
She was the agent that set everything up the first place 15 years ago.
The one you thought was working off the books?
Yeah, she gave me the file, told me to work with you guys, to go there, to end it, and then after we were finished, to kill the kids, which we didn't do. But yeah.
Can I see that?
She says, she kind of croaks it, yeah, and then hands the photograph over to Adrian.
Another item you would have found, Leah, that I failed to mention. I'm sorry, I missed it. In and among the trash, you would have found a school ID for Crystal Killian for the Rush Library at Florida Southwestern College with a much older looking woman on the photograph, on the ID, than the one in the picture, but they are the same person.
Same woman.
And Adrian's just going to, just because they do it in the movies, he's going to open up the frame to see if there's anything on the back of the photo.
There is nothing.
All right. Well, he's going to fold it and he's going to put it into like his inside pocket. So you think it's a fake ID then? That this was all some sort of, that this Crystal Killian person is this Clove woman?
Yeah.
She ran, right? You were never able to get in contact with her again.
Yeah, but I mean, that's not in and of itself entirely odd.
But what she asked of us, though, that
would explain why she had the gun in the floorboards. I mean, more than just the fact that she's living in Florida.
Was there only one body found?
There was.
And like this trailer, does it look like a kid lived here?
No.
No. Okay.
While this is going on, Bear, are you making your way back up to the trailer at this point?
Yeah, I think Bear, after this discovery, he pulls out the handkerchief and covers his mouth. He's kind of backpedaling away from the muck and the stench of death. He gets up to the top of the hill, kind of gasps a little bit, and he starts heading towards the trailer.
As you make your way back up, something stands out to you. From the trailer park entrance, you see a rail-thin man in yellow biker leathers staring at you. He stands with this MV Augusta motorcycle. His face can't be seen through the deeply tinted black visor of his matching yellow helmet. But two cats, one white and one black, mill around his legs in a figure-8 pattern. And he just watches you.
Oh, I know I shouldn't go close to him. I think Bear, realizing that this guy is just watching, like how far away is he right now?
He's probably a few dozen yards away from you.
Yeah, Bear's just going to call out to him.
He waves, gesturing for you to come closer.
Bear looks at him. He's already in a foul mood because of the animals and because he's wandering around in the swamp and the bugs are biting him. What do you want?
As you get closer, you smell it. This rider reeks of this stench, simultaneously nauseating and enticing. And you know that this rider is something other, something hateful and hated. And a voice resonates oddly through that black visor. It has been too long since you've been up, my pet. Oh, how I've missed you. I admit the fault is partly mine. My attention's elsewhere, my thoughts divided. But my affections, forever with you. You must be so hungry. There was more fuel for your tiny fires and other climbs, more willing flesh to carry your majesty on a palanquin tour of this strange place. Perhaps we may play again before you recede, beneath and between. I can always spare some more of myself to feed so interesting a machine. I do so miss the games we played. His voice trails into this unidentifiable language. And just then, the visor opens to reveal not a face, but an enormous red tongue. It darts out and licks your face bare. I need you to roll sanity, please.
All right. Yeah. That's not good. I think I would say, I think if Bear succeeds the sanity check, he's probably going to run and try and get the others. But if he fails, given his particular disorder, he's just going to attack, which is probably a very bad idea.
We'll find out.
Oh, that's close.
With a 43 out of 39, I need you to roll 1d6.
Okay. That's 5. I think Bear is going to attempt to project some of that. And I think poor Cheryl has taken a lot. I think Bear is going to project that actually on his kids.
Go ahead and roll 1d4.
That's 2.
All right. So you lose 3 sanity, you lose 2 willpower points, and deduct the bond with your children by that much, by 2.
By 2. All right.
And in the aftermath of the shock of this thing coming out of this visor, rubbing across your face, and you can feel the blood on your skin. You can smell the copper, the iron. Your eyes instinctually close, and when you open them again, to lash out, to attack, to meet this threat, the rider, the motorcycle, and the cats are gone. And that is where we will end tonight's session. Thank you for listening to Delta Green, God's Teeth, part of the Black Project Gaming podcast. If you like what you heard, please consider leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts or a comment on YouTube. Be sure to visit blackprojectgaming.com for previous and future Delta Green episodes. If you'd like updates on all future releases, please follow us on Blue Sky or Facebook. Until next time, I'm Vince, your host and handler, with Cami as FBI Special Agent Sarah Hart, Doug as Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent Gerrald Bear Swenson, Jack as Special Agent Adrian Selivanov with the FBI's Computer Analysis Response Team, and Sonia as Dr. Leah Caron with the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Thank you again, and remember, we'll be seeing you.